Okay, my fourth triad video. Hopefully this works. Or this is the last video. Okay, anyway, this is my project for EDP279. That's the first project. So what I did was I made a variety of prisms through GeoGebra. And first I was going to just do surface area. But I decided, when I was in middle school and I was learning about surface area, I was also learning about volume. So I just decided to put volume in it at the last minute. I was like, yeah, well, let's do this too. But I created this so students can practice. They can practice volume and surface area on different prisms, either at home or if we have a day in the computer lab. And I also have a graphic organizer / worksheet to go with it, but I'll show you that in a minute. First, I want to explain what this is over here. This is the algebra view. I have this open on all of them when I first go on it because this is all the work I did on these things. This one was actually probably the hardest because you have to make the sketches dynamic, meaning you pull one side and the sketch is still what it's supposed to be. So I would, when I was trying to figure this out, and I've made a box in another class, but we made it differently using like a net, and there's a tiny box next to it that moved with this one, and I just didn't want to do that. I wanted to, not have all that other stuff in it and just make one of these for myself. But my trouble was I was, pulling corners to try to like move it, but it wouldn't even be a box anymore. It'd be with this weird shape. So I figured out how to put sliders. So then you just drag the sliders, and that's how you move it. And if you would try to pull one of these, it doesn't. It just moves the box around. But you can't change it unless you go over here. Okay. And then also with algebra view, it's easy to change stuff. Like if I mess something up and I wanted to change, what any of this stuff was, I can just quickly right click it and change it here. But I'm going to close that right now. So I have the equations for surface area and volume so students can see it. They can manipulate the sides here, and then they can calculate surface area and volume, and after they calculate it, they can check the box, and the answer comes up. And you can see that when I drag this stuff, it changes with it. Okay? And so, to practice more, they can uncheck them, do it again, and then check them again, just so they can see the answer and see if it's matching. Okay, next, we'll go to the cylinder. The cylinder was a little different. I could not find a way to connect the height to a slider. I just couldn't do it. I don't know if there's a way to. I can always fiddle around with it more and see if I can. But so you can just drag on this point to change the height, but you can't change anything else by trying to drag on it. But once again, I have the surface area equation and the volume equation, and students can take, the radius and the height, plug it into those equations, and they can get the answers and check it. And once again, it does change when you drag on these. Okay. At first, I had it where it rounded these to whole numbers because I thought that might be easier for students to deal with. But I realized when these were rounded to whole numbers, like this would have been this technically it would have kept this as a 2, even though it was 2.92. It threw this off, but I would change it and it would still say 2 over here, but this would change. So the measurements weren't accurate. And so I had to put the decimals back on. I just have it to the hundredths place to make it more accurate. So, when students check it, it'll say they got the right answer. Because it was like 10 off when I didn't have the decimals on there, but I decided to put the decimals back on there. Next is the cone. Once again, I couldn't figure out how to do a slider for the height, so just manipulate it by dragging the point. And once again, you can't do anything else except just drag it around the screen. But you can manipulate it, check it. I have the equations. So there's that. Okay. Next, I made a graphic organizer. So with this, I was trying to think, what can students go along with that? So I thought, I could make this homework for students, but not every student has a computer. So I could also do this as an in-class thing, where we either go to the computer lab for this practice, or at my high school we had laptop carts, and teachers would just sign up for a day when they wanted the laptop cart, and they'd bring the laptops into the room. So I figured I could do this activity with them, but it wouldn't be taken for a grade on accuracy. It would have been taken on a probably completion grade, because I have this, did your answer match the correct answer? If not, what was your mistake? But let's go to the beginning. So I have 8 rows on here. So these first 2 are dedicated to the box. So I would want students to put the length, the width, and the height they chose. And then I just put prism, because there's prism on the other ones. It's so I could identify on the other ones if you're doing a cone or a cylinder. But up here, obviously it's going to be a box. So, they can just put box. But then they would put the volume and the surface area that they got. And on a separate sheet of paper, I would want to see their work. Just because it's also easier to go back and see if you made, where you made a mistake. So, next box is, did your answer that you got match the correct answer? If not, what was your mistake? It's helpful because students need to realize, where their mistakes were made. Otherwise, they could continually make those mistakes. So, if it's one thing to say oh, I got it wrong, let's move on. Students need to realize why they got it wrong, because that's how they're going to learn from their mistakes. Even if it's simple, you need to put parentheses around something in the calculator. They need to know that. So those first 2 are boxes, and then there's 6 left. So I figured 3 cylinder, 3 cone. So they can, choose the radius and the height, and then they need to tell me what prism they're doing, volume, surface area, if they got it right or wrong, if they got it wrong, what they did wrong. So that's the worksheet. And I will now also show you GeoGebra. So I'll upload those 3 sketches to GeoGebra Tube. It's GeoGebra Tube. So YouTube, but GeoGebra Tube. That's how I find it when I type it in, but when I'm on my profile, it just says geogebra.org. But anyway, so I can upload these here, and I can just give out the links to students, and they can get to them that way. So that's GeoGebra, and that is my project. So there you have it. Thanks.